I'm at my table right now drinking some coffee for the morning, taking a look at what I got going on. So I figured I would write it down to give y'all an, and me too, right? Just take a look at what I got going on. And I'm gonna show y'all what I got going on with the business right now. I'm gonna drink some coffee real fast. So I'm gonna show y'all what I got going on. Over these, I know I've been saying that over these next about 5 or 6 months, it all ties back to the idea of a liquidation of assets, and that there are really two times when I liquidate an asset. I will liquidate an asset when I have looked at the asset and I believe that the asset is no longer profitable. And then I will also liquidate an asset if I need the cash. So if I actually need money, I will go and get cash. I will liquidate the asset. But if if the asset cannot be appreciated profitably anymore, then I will also start liquidating the asset. And I will also start liquidating assets then. And so as of right now, what I'm looking at is that over the next about 5.5 months, I will have to liquidate. Okay, so I am currently looking at liquidating about 6 to 7 animals every single month for about the next 5 months. I believe that I will have to liquidate my 33 animals. These 33 animals that I have right now, I will have to liquidate all of them over the next about 5 months, 5.5 months. I will have to liquidate them all over the next 5 months. So why do I think that? Because I believe that they will hit market weight, and I believe that it's time to liquidate, because I don't want to be taking them up to 850, 900 pounds. So it's time to start liquidating. So practically, just about under any circumstance, I will be bringing home about $10,000-$11,000 cash every single month. And so part of my job now is to figure out what am I going to do with the money, because I've already said you don't want to be in a situation where you have $70,000 and you're sitting around with $70,000, because that $70,000 is not going to do anything. There are better things to do with $70,000 than to hold on to it and think that it's going to save your life, okay? Because it's not. All right, 70 grand is a worthless amount of money. It's not going to do anything. All right, if you really need 70 grand, go to the bank and take a loan. All right, you'll pay like a not even you'll pay like $100 for it. So probably not even 100. Okay, there's no reason to hold on to 70 grand for no reason. It's not a reasonable thing to do. There's no reason to do it. Okay. So I'm taking a look at my financials, and I'm currently in a situation where I will be making about $10,000-$11,000 every single month, and I would actually anticipate that I actually make about $10,000-$11,000 a month for about 10 months out of the year. I may actually end up, okay, but here's the thing. Okay, let's take a look at what I got going on. What do I see? What kind of money do I see coming in, and what am I gonna do with the money? And so I believe that my animals, all of them, are gonna be at market weight by about within the next 5 months, and I'm gonna start liquidating the biggest animals first. And I would anticipate that over the next 5 months, I have to liquidate about 6.5 animals every single month. And I will end up liquidating all 33 animals within 5 months. And so when I take a look at it right now, this is what I was wanting to talk about. This is what I've been talking about for the last couple of days. That the cattle are also, I've been talking about seeing money in other ways besides cash, and having commodity cattle, having beef cattle is just as good, more or less. The old saying, they're worth it's worth its weight in gold. Cattle are worth money, okay? You can buy cattle and you can sell cattle. They're a commodity. Corn, another commodity, fertilizer, another commodity, gold, silver, another commodity. So having animals, having cattle is more or less just like having money. All right, and I know, and I'm not saying that, I'm not saying from a spiritual aspect, I'm not saying like I'm buying their soul. I'm just saying that with the current state of things, you can buy cattle with money. Okay, I'm not saying from like a spiritual aspect that whatever, right? I'm not. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that from a monetary sense, you can buy cattle with money. Okay. And you can also buy land with money, right? I mean, and I'm not talking about from a spiritual sense. I mean, it's different. I'm just saying that you can buy land with money, right? I've always said that there are things that you can't buy with money, right? You can't buy somebody's soul. You know that you can't. The souls have no price. I mean, people may be willing to sell their soul for money, but souls. I mean, but a soul does not have a price. All right. A soul does not have a price. Time does not have a price. Love does not have a price. Money can buy things, but money cannot. There is not a monetary value for everything. Okay. So let's take a look at it. And I've said that the cattle are. You can buy cattle with money. Okay. And so I have 33 animals right now, and I would say that those 33 animals. If I sold those 33 animals right now, I could buy 58. So the equitable value of the animals is effectively about 58 animals. So this next month, I'm going to sell 6 of them, and it's going to drop it down to 27. But when it drops down to 27, I believe that if I sell those 27 animals, I could buy 48 animals. So if I take a look at it, if I was in an optimal situation, if I could bring in, if I had a facility that I could bring in 25, 20 animals at the same time, if I had facilities like that, I would be willing to do it. And I would just put them in pens of 5 animals, right? I would just put them in, I would just separate them out and et cetera, et cetera. And I would bring home all 20 animals. But if you take a look at this situation right now, I would bring home 10,000 cash. And I'm still net positive equity 21 animals. If I took a loan for 21 animals and I brought home 10,000 cash, that would just put me at 0. Let's say out of those 48 animals, I have 43 animals left. Those 43 animals are going up in value at the same time. And that value, let's just estimate it at $6,000 a month. So next month, I would have 37 animals because I would take the 43 animals and then I would sell 6 animals, right? I would sell 6 animals, so that would leave me with 37 animals. That would bring me home another 10,000 cash. And I would reasonably anticipate that if I sold those 37 animals, I could actually buy 45. So if I wanted to, I could take a loan for 8 more animals. So I could grow my business and my cash pile at the same time. But here's the thing, eventually the loan numbers will add up, right? Oh, well, now I need to pay back, I need to pay back 29 animals, right? I need to pay back 29 animals and I have 20,000 cash and 11 animals of my own equity or whatever it may be, 10 animals of my own equity. And then I have 20,000 cash. And so I would have to, I'd have to take a look at the balance sheet and figure it out. This is what I mean by taking a look at the balance sheet, right? And so, but every single month that, 37 animals, if I was raising 37 animals at the same time, every single month that went by, this number on the other end of it, 45, would go up by about 5 or 6. So that the same 37 animals that I have, 1 month will be worth 45. Granted that they're not all like 800 pounds. I mean, granted that the average weight of the animals are still relatively within a profitable range, right? I mean, if they're all 800 pounds, then they're not. I'm gonna have to liquidate them all at the same time. But if I have 37 animals and the average weight of the animals about 500 pounds. They're still profitable for about another 300, another 250. If I have grass They're even profitable up to about 900, right? 400 pounds. If I still have a margin like that, then this number is going to go up by about 5 or 6 every single month. So 1 month is going to be 37. You know, I could, if I sold these 37 animals, I could buy 45. And then the next month it's going to be, if I sold these 37 animals, I could buy 50, 51. And then the next month it's going to be, oh, well, if I sold these 37 animals, I could buy 58. Right, and I could grow the equitable value of my herd by just taking care of the animals properly, by buying the right animals, buying them at a reasonable price, and then taking care of the animals properly. And if if I take a look at my herd and I say, well, I owe the bank 29 animals worth of equity. I owe the bank 29 animals worth of equity. I have 20,000 cash. And I currently have 55, 60 animals worth of equity. Then right, then that's good, right? I have 20,000 cash. I owe the bank 29 animals worth of equity, and I have 20,000 cash, and I also have 62 animals worth of equity that I own. So I just take the 29 out of the 62. If I really wanted to just pay the bank back, I could just take the money out of the equity of my herd, right? And then I could just think about it. Oh, well, if I have 62 animals and I owe the bank 29 animals worth of money, then I will have whatever, right? I will have 30, 33, 34 animals left, and I will have 20,000 cash, right? And then I won't have any loans at all. But I mean, having a loan, it's not the end of the world. I mean, having a loan, I mean, it could help grow your business. I mean, when I think about taking a loan, I take loans. I really think about it. I've always said you don't want to be in a situation where you're a complete idiot and you just want a loan because you're going to throw money at something, and you figure that if you throw money at something, your life is going to turn into a journey, and it's going to work out for you in a mystical, magical fashion. And a lot of problems, right? I mean, you're gonna go holding hands with your buddy pals, and you're gonna go singing "Kumbaya" into the sunset, and it doesn't ever work out. All right, I mean, you're either very naive or you're very dumb. All right, I don't know how else to put it. I mean, it's not a good idea. Okay, I mean, if you realistically want to start a business, I would highly suggest that you find a way to make the money first. All right, take a look at it. And I actually want to add this too. I've been thinking about this, but if you want to start a business, and let's say that and I've always said that if you practice for free, that's like the most practical way of actually developing a skill set is finding a way to practice for free, right? And if you're in a situation where you're practicing and it costs you whatever $200 a year, it costs you you don't need a lot of money. And I've been putting a lot of emphasis on this. If you go and you buy a tonnage of fertilizer right now, you don't need a tonnage of fertilizer to learn how to grow crops. Okay, you don't need these giant you don't need a giant amount of money. And honest to God, my right hand to God, I cross my soul and whatever. I don't even know what but honest to God, complete honesty. When I first started, my first 7 years learning how to grow crop, my first 7 years, I did it in a backyard with potting soil. All right, it cost me about $150 a year. All right, I went to Home Depot and I bought fertilizer when it was on clearance, and it would cost me like 75 cents a bag. I would, every once in a while, if I wanted to buy something neat, I would go and buy a box of it, and it would cost me like $7. All right, I could buy like 10 different types of fertilizer for like $80. I could buy a big old block of potting soil for like $12. I would buy, 3-4 giant blocks of potting soil. I would have like 15 different types of fertilizer, and that would cost like $150. And then the next year, I would just reuse the potting soil. It didn't even cost me $100 a year. All right, and I practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced all the time. I practiced every single day. All right, and so it doesn't take a lot of money. It does not take a lot of money. I mean, we're talking realistically about 100. Even my business now, my business right now costs maybe $1,500 a month, something like that. In all honesty, it costs about $1,500 a month. No, it's not some ridiculous amount of money, and it makes me. I mean, you can take a look at how much money I make on it, and think about it for yourself. If you don't believe me, I mean, and if you're gonna try and take me down with you, keep your BS to yourself. All right, I gave you a list of my expenses, and I told you to take a look at it for yourself. If you don't believe me, add on to it whatever you want to add on to it. All right. You know, I bought one giant load of hay. That cost me about $4,000. I bought 2 loads of distiller grains. That cost me about $2,000 each. So that's about $4,000. The corn that I fed last year, the corn that I fed in 2024, I had technically purchased that in 2023, but I fed about $3,000 worth of it in 2024. So $4,000, $4,000, $3,000. That's $11,000. I fertilized my fields for maybe 6 months out of the year last year. I didn't really get a whole lot of rain. And when I fertilized my field, maybe I used about a half a tonnage each time. I used maybe about half a tonnage, right? I've always said that if we use urea as the basis for fertilizer, and urea is 4600, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, NPK 4600, 1 tonnage of urea has 920 units of fertilizer in it. So if let's just say I used 460 units of fertilizer, that would cost me about $275. And so let's just say I used whatever, right? Let's say I go on the high end and I say I used 4 tonnages of urea. Let's just call it $2,000. All right. Let's just say I used 4 tonnages of fertilizer over the 6 months, and so that would be about $2,000. So I'm sitting on $4,000 plus $4,000 plus $3,000 plus $2,000. That's $13,000. I still have about $1,000 worth of the distiller grains left. Right, I mean, we're talking. I mean, and I took a look at it, and I was like, my business cost me about $1,200 to about $1,500 a month. That's about what it cost me. And if you want to see it, if you want to take a look at the money, this is actually a very good time to take a look at the money. This is what the money looks like. All right, this is how much money I make. So I put about $1,200 into it. I put about $1,500 into it, and this is how much money I get out of it. Right now, if I sold my 33 animals, I could buy 58 animals. I'm anticipating logically that I will have to sell about 6 animals, 7 animals every month for the next 5 months. If I went and I sold the 6 animals next month, that would drop me down to 27. But those 27 animals are still worth about 48 animals worth of equity. Right? So I have $10,000 cash. I take a loan for 21 animals. That just puts me at zero. So now I'm sitting here with $10,000 cash. And let's say out of those 48 animals, 43 survive. Those 43 animals go up in value by about $6,000 a month. By the next month, it's time to liquidate animals again. I liquidate 6 animals. That drops me down from 43 to 37. I now have $10,000 cash. So now in total, I have $20,000 cash. And if I want to, I could take a loan for 8, or I could just go and buy, I could do whatever the heck I want. I make $10,000 a month. All right, I make $11,000, $12,000 a month cash. Right, and if I take a look at my balance sheet and I say my loans are getting out of hand, I have 29 animals worth of loans. And I have 20,000 cash, and I have about 45 animals worth of equity. Well, I mean, if I think my loans are getting out of hand, I can either pay them down, or I can increase the size, or I can increase the equitable evaluation of my herd. Right, I can just wait a month And by next month, my 45 animals will be worth whatever, right? 51, 52 animals. And then it's like, oh well, I still don't feel like I'm in a good spot, right? I mean, I still don't feel like I'm in a good spot. Then I can just whatever, right? I mean, but I would anticipate that I actually need to liquidate about 6 to 7 animals every month. I would anticipate that I need to liquidate about 6 to 7 animals every month for about the next 5-6 months. That's what I would anticipate. I would anticipate that I need to liquidate about 6 animals a month for the next 5.5 months, something like that. And so because they're gonna be getting too big. So and over those 5.5 months, by the time I actually, but if I grew my business at its maximum capacity, and there are a lot of ways to balance the balance sheet. You don't need money. Cash is important. But there are other things that are just as good as cash, right? That's the big idea. That's the conclusion that that's the big idea that I've been looking to introduce, right? Cash is not the only way to have money. And so I take a look at my situation and I say, well, if I go and I sell my 6 animals and I bring home 10,000 cash, I take a look at my 27 animals. I say, well, these 27 animals, if I sold them today, I could still buy 48. I'm sitting here with $10,000 cash. So I take a loan for 21 of them. That just puts me at net zero. I now have, let's say 43 after it's all said and done. I have 43 animals. They're going up in value by about $6,000 a month. So now I have 37 animals. And when I take a look at those 37, I sell 6 animals because I would think that I have to sell 6 more animals because they're going to be at market weight. And so when I sell those 6 animals, it drops me down to 37. But I take a look at my 37 animals and I say, oh, well, these 37 animals are actually worth about 45 animals worth of money. So they're worth about 45 animals worth of money. I'm sitting here with $20,000 cash and 45 animals worth of money, and I owe the bank 21. So I effectively have $20,000 cash and 24 animals worth of equity. And this is actually I didn't even consider this part. But if I have $20,000 cash and I owe the bank 21 animals worth of equity, and I take a look at my herd and I say, well, I have about 45 animals worth of equity, then that unrealized gain value, that difference between the number of animals that I have and the number of animals that I owe the bank is 24. And so in all honesty, I could even take a loan against my portion of the equity of the herd as well if I wanted to. Right, if I have 45 animals and I owe the bank 21, that leaves me with 24, right? I mean, I still have 24 animals of my own equity, right? So I could still go and take a loan for 24 more animals. And that would just put me in a situation where the net equity evaluation of my herd is 0, but I would still be sitting around with $20,000 cash, right? I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I mean, granted that, I have the right facilities in place. Right, I have the the right medication that I have to put. I put the animals on the right medication and the right feed and et cetera, et cetera. So I actually didn't even write that portion of it down. Right, I've always been talking about taking a loan against using a loan against the net equity value of my herd. I could do that too if I wanted to. Right, so I mean, there's a lot of ways to grow the business and make cash at the same time and not really put myself at maximum risk, right? I mean, I'm not leveraging myself to the eyeballs. I'm not throwing money at something, going on a magical journey, right? I mean, I trade commodities on a piece of land, right? I mean, this is not some Disneyland adventure. I'm not throwing a Hail Mary into the middle of nowhere. I fell out of heaven at 7 in my life's a magical journey, right? It's going to work out for me in some spectacular fashion, and when it does, I can go, skipping off into the sunset singing Kumbaya. It's nothing like that, right? Let's just take a look at it for what it is. Well, that's actually a very good. I actually didn't even write that portion of the whole situation down on the sticky note. If you take a look at this right here, if I have 45 animals and I have 20,000 cash and I owe the bank 21 animals, I still have 24 animals worth of equity. So I still have 24 animals worth of equity and I have 20,000 cash, right? So at that point, it's like, well, do I want to just take a loan against my 24? Do I want to take a loan for 8? Right? I mean, because 8 is, the 37 animals that I have, they're technically worth, if I was going to go and buy them at, the business plan weight, right? I mean, at the benchmark weight, I was going to buy them small and sell them big. Then, I would say that my animals right now, the 37 animals are worth about 45 animals. So, I mean, I could take a loan for 8, but then that still leaves 24 animals worth of equity just sitting in my herd, right? I mean, I have 20,000 cash, right? And then here's also the thing. In the situation that I'm in, I would actually want to keep myself on a net zero across the entire balance sheet. And this is what I call maximum growth. If I was going to grow at a maximum rate, this $10,000 a month cash, I don't. What the heck am I gonna do with? You can't spend. It's not. It's whatever, right? The $10,000 cash is whatever. All right. I mean, what am I gonna do? Go and buy 3 Lamborghinis, right? I mean, what am I gonna do with $10,000 cash? I mean, am I gonna go and buy myself a small mansion and drive a Lamborghini? I mean, there's no reason for me to hold on to $10,000 cash. It's just not going to do anything. All right, and this is actually a very in a situation that I want to put myself in. The situation that I want to put myself in is to achieve maximum growth for my business. And in a situation of maximum growth, I would actually keep my entire balance sheet at 0. So if I have 45 animals worth of equity, if I have 37 animals, but I would anticipate that they're valued at about 45 because I've increased their value. So I would be net positive 24 animals worth of equity. I would take a loan for those 24 animals, and I would also invest my own $20,000 cash. That would be an ideal situation for me. So in this situation right here, I would actually take a loan for 24 more animals, take the net equity evaluation of my herd to 0. But if I took a loan for 24 more animals, right, I would have, instead of 37 animals, I would have whatever, right? I would have 61. So I would have 61 animals, and let's say out of those 24 animals, out of those 67 or 61, let's say 57 make it. So I would have 57 animals going up in value at the same time. And if I drop my 20,000 cash into the business, I bought whatever I needed, and let's say I put 16,000 cash into it, I would actually take my herd up to like I would actually be looking to take my herd up to like a 70 animals immediately. Right, and then as I generate cash, I can sit there and then take a look at the cash and whatever it may be, right? Because and appreciate more cattle at the same time. That would be an ideal, more of like, not an ideal, but that would be a reasonable idea for a maximum growth situation. All right, I would actually take a loan against the entire value of my herd. I say I'm net positive 24 animals. I'm going to take a loan for 24 animals. I'm going to go and buy, I'm going to go and buy 2 loads of feed. So that's going to cost $4,000. And I'm just going to take that $4,000 out of my $20,000 cash pile. I still have $16,000 cash, right? I took a loan for 24 more. So now I'm sitting here with 24 more animals, right? That puts me at 61. Let's say 57 make it. 57 animals. I have 57 animals going up in value by about let's say $8,000 a month. Let's say it's $7,500 a month, right? Those 57 animals next month, they're going to be worth more than 57 animals, right? They're going to be worth whatever, right? 70 animals. And then that's how I would, in all reality sense, that is how I would grow my business at a maximum rate. Am I going to be able to do that on a 10.5 acre field? No, I cannot do that on a 10.5 acre field. All right, I need to buy myself a bigger piece of land. That's what I'm looking at doing right now. All right, and then I would take the $16,000 cash, and I would also go and invest that money as well into my business. That's what I would do to achieve maximum growth. So it's like I would not be raising 71 animals, right? I would not be, if I took my 37 animals and I took a loan for 24 more because that's what I had in net positive, then I would have 51. Then I would have 61, 57 plus $16,000. So that would be 61 plus about 18 animals. So, I mean, realistically, I would have about 73, 75 animals immediately, starting like effectively now. If I wanted to achieve maximum growth while not putting my business at any risk, of major risk, I would just keep my balance sheet at zero and accumulate more assets. That's how I would do it. And if I actually took a look at growing my business at its maximum capacity, I mean, over the next 5 months, realistically, I'd have to purchase about 150 cattle, 200 cattle, something like that. And I wouldn't even be at risk I wouldn't be leveraging myself to the eyeballs, right? I wouldn't be going on a mystical, magical journey. I would be trading commodities on a piece of land, right? I would be raising cattle, and that would be that. So, that is what I would do to achieve maximum growth of my business. I would take a loan against the entire equitable value of my herd, not just the net positive gain. There's no reason for me to sit on 24 animals worth of equity, right? I already have $20,000 cash. If I went and I converted that 24 animals worth of equity into money, right? What the heck am I gonna do with $40,000 cash? And then the month after that, now I got another, $18,000 cash, right? Because I'm gonna have to liquidate 6 to 7 animals no matter what. I'm gonna have to liquidate about 6 animals no matter what every single month. So I'm gonna have to convert into cash, and then I also got my herd going up in value, right? What the heck, and what am my business is gonna make, if I maximized cash, if I just said, I'm gonna scrape every bit of cash that I could off my business. We're talking about me scraping almost, like $18,000 a month off of my business. What the heck am I going to do with $18,000 cash? It's not going to do anything. All right, $18,000 cash is not going to do anything. This is what I've been saying. I don't want $18,000. I want the 75 cattle. I want the 100 cattle, right? I would rather have the cattle. The cattle are tax deductible, and I can knowledgeably appreciate them. Right? Let's take a look at it for what it is. If I were going to sell, because I'm in a situation right now where I have to sell 6 to 7 animals a month, no matter what. All right? I'm not going to raise these animals to 900 pounds. I'm not going to raise these animals to 1,000 pounds. No matter what, I have to sell 6 to 7 animals a month. Over the next 5 months, I would anticipate that I sell all my animals at market weight. So that means I'm bringing home about $10,000, $11,000 cash every single month. My herd is still net positive equitable. If I went and I brought home $10,000 cash and I took a loan for 21 animals, that wouldn't even put me at a net zero. That would just put me at a zero for the appreciation value of my herd. All right, if I took a loan for 21 animals, that would just be, if I was legitimately going to take a net zero type loan, I would take a loan for 21 for this right here, and then I would also take another loan for 27 for my animals. So we're talking about I would go and I would buy 48 animals, not 21. Right, something like that. I didn't even think about that, but until now. But that it is what it is, right? So if I have a net, and this is a more I guess, easy way to see it. If I have 45 animals worth of equity and I have 21 animals worth of a loan, that still leaves me with 24 animals worth of my own equity, right? And so, I mean, I could take a loan for that 24 and it would still just keep me at zero. It wouldn't even take me into the negative. I would just have my balance sheet at zero. I would have accumulated assets, and I would be appreciating those assets at the same time, while also collecting about $10,000-$11,000 cash every single month. And if I take a look at how much let's say that the value of the animals are going up every month, I'm bringing home $10,000 cash, while my herd is also going up in value by like whatever, $7,000-$8,000 a month. All right, I mean, and I've been saying this, I make about $15,000-$20,000 a month. It just is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. Take a look at it for what it is. If I was do I come home with $15,000-$20,000 a month? No, I don't. Why would I come home with $15,000-$20,000? It's not gonna do anything. Right? There are other things for me to think about. What does my balance sheet look like? What do I anticipate my cash flow is going to be? How much cash am I going to bring home? What do I want to do with the money? What do I believe the net positive equity, the equity valuation of my herd is? What do I think about? Those are the things that I think about. I don't think about maximizing cash output. There is no reason for me to come home with $18,000-$20,000 a month. It is not going to do anything. If anything, it's going to be the worst idea because I'm going to get taxed the hardest, right? If I come home with $20,000 a month cash, it's going to put me in the worst tax bracket, right? I mean, it's going to put me in one of the worst tax brackets. There's no reason for me to come home with $20,000 a month, right? And when I bring home money, I need to think about what am I going to do with the money to get tax deductions. I need to think about where am I going to invest this money? What am I going to do with it? All right, so this is a very realistic way to look at it. I'm gonna bring home $10,000, $11,000 cash a month, no matter what, for about the next foreseeable future. It might even be the next entire year, maybe even more. That number might just continue to go up. My herd is still net positive, 21 animals, just on the appreciation value. I take a loan for 21 animals and I bring home 10,000 cash. That just puts my appreciation value at zero. I still have the net equity value of my own herd. And a very good way to look at this is if I have, let's say I take a look at it from down here, right? Because after I've taken the loan, I have 37, I sell 6 more animals. That drops me down to 37. Those 37 animals are worth about 45. I have a loan for 21. I deduct the 21 out of the 37. I could still take a loan for, I deduct the 21 out of the 45. I could still take a loan for 24 animals. And that would just leave me at zero. It wouldn't even take me to the negative. So I have 24 animals that I could still take a loan against. I have $20,000 cash, and if I reinvested all of my earnings back into my business, that would just keep me at zero. I'm not even leveraged to the eyeballs. I'm just at zero. And I'm appreciating more assets at the same time. I appreciate my assets at about $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 a month, and I also bring home about $10,000 cash. All right, realistically, my net take-home pay is about $20,000 a month. Is that how much cash I come home with? No. If I wanted the money, I could just go and get it. There's no reason to sit around with $20,000 a month cash. It's not going to do anything. If I really want the money, I can just go and get the money out of the business. It's not that big of a deal. There's no reason to maximize cash output. It's not going to do anything. I would rather think about what does my balance sheet look like. How much do I think my cash flow is going to be? How am I going to grow my balance sheet? How am I going to grow my business? What direction am I going to take my business? Those are the things I think about. I don't think about maximizing cash output, okay? It's ridiculous. There's no reason to do that. And so that's it for me today, YouTube. Y'all have a good one.